Welcome to the Fine Line Creative Arts Center and our Kavanaugh Gallery. Tonight we present Fanciful Expressions. Let's hear from a few of our artists.
I draw with a special mouse on a computer. No tablets or importing of scanned images are used. Everything is created with just a mouse. My art is the final print on paper, not a JPEG file. In order to reach that step, I make a series of proofs on 8.5 by 11 paper. Sometimes as many as 20 or 30 are created until the print looks satisfactory. The iterative process of creating proofs can take weeks. The final print is made at extremely high resolution, normally at 512 dpi. YG2 took almost an hour for the printer to create. I therefore only make 1 or 2 final prints. In my paintings, I try to bridge realism and abstract concepts. My goal is for people to smile and relax when they see my art. YG2 was created in honor of the Yamaha G2 Grand Piano. Initially, I was confronted by what to paint. After a few weeks of detailed work, I created the piano. Thinking of collages, I made a final print of the first piano, twisted and rotated it. Then I created a third. This gave it a face-like appearance. Curved lines give it some zip and reflect blank music scores. And finally, a cloud-like structure in the background gives the whole piece an ethereal feel.
My name is Rachel Consolazio. I'm a ceramic artist and illustrator from upstate New York, and I'm thrilled to have a few pieces in the Fanciful Expressions show. Thank you so much for having me. I am inspired by nature, flowers, gardens, walks in the woods, walks with my dog, conversations with my children, being outside. I love vegetables and plants and cooking, and all of that kind of works together and bleeds into my sketchbook, where everything starts. And I am just really always inspired to draw and dream and create these sort of magical pots. The birdie picture kind of came to life in my hands as I was creating this shape. I just immediately recognized it as a bird, and the pattern and the carving kind of drew themselves on the piece. And I've continued to make these in a variety of different sizes and colors, and I just love them. The lavender vase was inspired by my own lavender plants that I grow all over my yard. I love to harvest the lavender in the summer, and I needed a place to put it and display it. So I created this form that kind of reminded me of the summer day when I picked it. The zinnia keepsake jar is a lidded piece to hold something special. I wanted to create something celebratory and happy. It's very intricately carved because I felt like something special inside should be matched by something special and kind of extra on the outside. So I just love this piece.
Hi, I'm Caroline Elliott, and this is my piece that's featured in the show. It's a bowl, so B-U-L-L bowl, and this is inspired by a bowl similar to this that's all in gold from antiquity. A lot of my work is inspired by history and artifacts from antiquity, and you can imagine this being used as a ritual item, and this is completely hand-built, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Hi, I'm Drew Yurick. I have to make marks. I have to move. I'll start to just make lines, make shapes, because I'll try to lose myself. I'll try to do something that I have no control over. And before you know it, you have an entire collection of lifelong memories, new thoughts and ideas, everything, either mistakes or corrections or things that you wanted to try and work on, but you build, and it forms into something that you had no idea you would ever experience. It's the bright colors, it's the dark colors, it's the blocked in lines, it's the expressive expanding colors. It's something that everyone can kind of attach themselves to and kind of throw themselves into. And I find myself excited by that.
Life is full of contradictions. I enjoy being able to put contradictions in the narrative of my pieces. They only seem to humanize them more.
Hello. This is Picnic. Now, why would it be called Picnic, you ask? You know, we go on these picnics and we pray for good weather and for no insects and for dry ground and it doesn't always work out that way, and we have to fend for ourselves and make the best of it. So there it is, Picnic. Hope you enjoy it.
I would like to introduce Ellen Rotsock, our judge for this show. Ellen has her advanced degree from Northern Illinois University. As well as being an accomplished artist, Ellen has taught art for many years, both in the public school system as well as teaching workshops for many Chicago leagues and guilds. She is in demand for insightful critiques and judging expertise. Please welcome Ellen Rotsock.
Our first honorable mention is by Corinne McAlley, and it is called I See You, which is a beaded piece. And what I found fascinating about this piece is that with this flat surface and just through beading, she was able to create depth and wonderful movement on a very flat surface. And that was because of her her strong awareness of the beautiful movement of the colors and the values of the beads. So you really get a sense of that hooded eye, and that this really flat is just color next to color that you create. In here, there is a beautiful purple gray that gives a beautiful movement to the eye and a movement to the color. And so with these simple shapes, there's a rectangle and a circle. She's created a beautiful movement and depth of field, so I thought this was a wonderful piece. Our next honorable mention painting is by Su Yi Lin, and it is called Green, for obvious reasons. And I found this just to be a wonderful, charming picture. It's, again, very simple in composition. There are 4 main big shapes, but she's arranged them. You don't look necessarily at what it is, but these circles and these big green shapes that surround this head, this oval shape. What works so well is that this diagonal in her piece hits right in that center of that face where she wants you to concentrate. And you focus in on this attitude, this wonderful attitude of this image. And what I found as I stood there and looked at it, and she told me exactly what to look at, is that I want to know what she knows. She's got a secret, and there's a story. There is something about this that the attitude, the gesture of the pose, that hand that sticks out, just conveys a lot with very simple shapes. And this is why I thought this was beautiful greens that bounce off, all that whole thing about green. I gave it an honorable mention. The third honorable mention is by Bob McCormick, and it's called Flying Fish. This, to me, seems very Escher-like, M.C. Escher, with all the movement of the shapes. A lot more complex than the other 2 paintings we just looked at, images we just looked at. But with the movement that he creates with all these lines and shapes, he moves us beautifully through his images. And you play like with Escher in some of that. What is in front, what's behind? Here part of the fish sits behind, here it's in front with the gills. this is behind and moves forward. It kind of is like a trick, so you have to really sit and look at it to see what's happening. So I think that's very interesting and very complex. There's repetition of shapes, beautiful repetition that works throughout here, and a nice play of cool and warm colors off of each other. We are now looking at the awards of merit, and our first award is by Fooney Daniels, and I hope I said that right, and it's called The Taming of the Shrew. And this ceramic piece just emotes pathos. I mean, the expression, the angle, we're talking about gestures, and this character, this little sculpture captures it all in gesture and facial expression. The legs, the no arms, and there's a hole in the head that you can't see. The expression on the face are just awesome. And I personally, when I think of Taming of the Shrew, I usually think of it as a comedy. I don't always get this attitude of the shrew, of Kate. And I think that as a sculpture, the strength of the face plays off these beautiful, beautiful sculpted legs. They are so fine, beautifully defined down to the toes. And the other thing that I find very interesting is that when you come up and look at this with all the printing, this is the script from The Taming of the Shrew that is over her body. So I just thought this was such a creative and just an awesome piece. Our second award of merit is by Anne Carmen Handel. It is collage and it's called Butthead. I find that kind of interesting. And it's a collage. And there is just something when you walk past this image of this goat that just calls to you, that you have to come. It's inquisitive, it's beautiful, it just has a wonderful attitude to it. It tells a lot about a goat. I like the negative spaces she's created and the negative spaces inside the image. The layers of papers add nice, with being so flat, it still gives a sense of dimension and texture to them, and depth. And that is, mainly, it's just a wonderful little gesture and attitude that this goat gives to us. Kelly Cook has created a wonderful image in our third award of merit, and with colored pencils, called Life on the Edge. And every element in this composition emphasizes the fact that things aren't stable. Everything tilts, all the diagonal lines and movements tell about this tilting that this world can just is off the edge, except for our fish, which is vertical, which is our stability for this fish down here. And so all of this movement that we start to move off, look at all this movement here. Here's this fish, not over here, but towards the middle, not in the middle of the composition, but here, giving us a sense of stability, and we don't move off the picture. So we all stand here. The other thing I found that was she has a very playful use of colors in here. These are just wonderful buildings that are going off the edge. At first I was wondering if they were the three pigs, little houses, but they aren't. This is all to this fish. The other thing I found very interesting is her use of paper. And she uses a Strathmore paper, which has a line quality to it. And in here, even in this, you see the value changes to do the modeling of the form, but there also is a linear quality of color change that moves through the whole drawing, which is unique to this paper. And I thought that is a very nice use. She used her paper well to create that and to have that little added texture and movement into the composition. And now we come to Best of Show. This is titled Nightlife by Don Manderson. It is digital photography augmented with fabricated imagery. So I look at this and I just see wonderful layering of images, colors, shapes, and uses of this wonderful red, warm colors that lead your eye through the images, even to the fact of up here you see oranges, little dots that pull you and work you through the painting. I was drawn to explore what's all happening. And when you start out looking at it, you think this is just a big dark space up there. But when you get into it and start looking at the layers, the colors, the sky holes that are put through, the wonderful negative spaces that are, this is a fascinating part of the painting. That upper layer that most people go, oh, I see this with the bears. But some of these things that are happening up here are just beautiful. There's a lot of movement with shapes, movement with color, and beautifully well balanced. I'm not sure what is, because I'm not a digital person, I'm not sure what is augmented with digital imagery, but I would, as I think about there are wonderful shadow shapes that play through here. If this was just a flat image, and to have created these shadow shapes that break up this space, wonderful layering, this image here of a boy on stilts, a figure on stilts, and the darks that play through and move you through the picture. I think the yellow that plays out, that balances out with the whites, the light parts, I think as a whole, this is a wonderful, wonderful use of the space, and which are some of my favorite parts of painting, beautiful negative shapes that he's created in this painting.
I hope you enjoyed our show. Please come out and see the work in person and help support artists. Hope to see you soon.